time to actually start work on the fairy house itself. So I'm going to take this Kemper tool and I'm just going to kind of lightly go around the cap just to give a delineation between where the gills are going to go and the cap itself. Take the sponge, it's lightly damp, not hardly any liquid in it at all, and smooth out those edges. And then take the Ticonderoga and give it some gills. They don't have to be perfect, they don't have to be solid lines. There's a dragonfly in my studio. He flew in just a few minutes ago. I'm hoping that he will find his way out without assistance. Go around with the sponge one more time, paying attention to the top lip of the carved line that I did to get rid of any gill indentions that strayed. Alright, so that is ready. The next part that I want to do, pardon me, is add the door and the windows. I took and kind of made crosshairs on the bottom of the house with the pencil just so that I could line up the door and the windows. I also created templates out of tar paper so that I can come in and trace where they're going to go. Tar paper works really, really well as a template. I'm going to have 3 windows that I will end up carving or cutting the window panes out since this is a luminary. That's where the light will come out of the house. So, first thing I'm going to do is grab my door. Again, this was a fondant mold. Spray Pam in the mold and press the clay into it. It has a wood green texture. There's a doorknob. I'm not 100% happy with this fondant mold, so I'll probably go out and look look for an additional one, just because I would like it to be just a little bit different. Add some slip to the scored area. Sorry, you can't see this. Let me turn it so you can. Don't put the clay on my... Then I'm going to gently turn this over in my hand. Score the back of it. Each one of my little fairy houses has a little bit of a different height. So like this door would not fit completely, so I center the peak of the door, and then I'll just take a felting knife and trim off the bottom. There's also, I want to give myself a doorknob. So I'm going to take a little ball of clay. It's a little bit too big. Flatten out one side of it. Poke some holes. That wraps up the clay just enough so that we can add just a hint of slip and give ourselves a knob. The other thing I like to do is, and like I did with the previous fairy house, is I put some rocks around the outside of the door to make a door frame. Score around the edge. And I made some little balls earlier and cut them in half. I also have a raccoon at my studio at this precise moment because he's decided that he wants to come visit too. So I would go around the entire door frame. I'm not going to do that right now because I would rather switch to doing one of the windows so that y'all can see how I'm going to do that. I've traced the outline with the tar paper. I want window frames, so I'm just going to take my pencil, come in, and draw in the frame. And then I'm going to take my felting knife and I'm going to cut these out. I actually have this very small felting knife, which is from Zine Tools, or Zine Tools. It works best for small areas like this. At least for me it does. Most of my other felting knives have a thicker blade, so it's more difficult for me to cut precise cuts. And I take the butt of it and push it through. Piercing work like this, it's really kind of funny, is called the devil's work. Not that it has anything to do with any religious connotations, other than the fact that if you're truly doing a pierced piece, it's evil, and the parts that you leave behind can break very easily if you're not careful. That's why it's called the devil's work, because for the potter that's doing it, it's It's evil. Oops. Trying to saw it, but it's somewhat difficult. So now I would take my paintbrush, get it slightly damp, and then come in and smooth out. Or if your fingers are small enough, you can use your finger for that too. When I'm working on my pumpkins, usually the eyes and the mouth are big enough that I can just use my pinky. But I don't want to take the chance of breaking this, so. I will use the sponge on the inside to smooth out the edges. Never forget to take care of the bottoms of your pieces or the inside of a piece like this, because even though it's not the part that people will see on a regular basis, if you're the one actually turning the candle on, you'll see it, and it can also make the work look unfinished if you don't take care of those small details. So the window is cut. The last thing for the window is I actually created shutters. I'd figure out they're over here. This is my bag of goodies for the house, and keeps it so I put a wood texture on it, and I'm just cutting them in half. Keep in mind that our window is peaked, so if you want them to look like real working shutters, then you have to align them correctly. A bit of slip. Press the shutters into place. I'm not working the edges of these into the lower clay body because I want them to look as if they're floating. I want them to look like they are actually real shutters. A lot of times when you attach one piece to another piece, you would work the two layers or two pieces of clay together to create a stronger bond. considering what this is and how it looks, that's not necessary. All right, there's our first window. I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of the windows, and then I'll bring you back when I'm ready to decorate the top.